Hi, I'm Brian Dinkel with Dinkel Homes. In today's video, I'm going to talk about investing in out-of-state real estate markets. Many of the investors throughout the country live in markets where real estate is so expensive that they have a hard time finding deals to invest in that will actually cash flow. So today what I'm going to talk about is looking in markets such as the markets here in the Midwest, like Kansas City, where we have a lot more property available that will actually cash flow if purchased the right way. So stay tuned. I'm going to share with you a few tips about how to purchase real estate out of your current market. All right, let's go ahead and get started. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I have been working with a lot of investors that are from all over the United States. And a lot of these investors want to invest in the Kansas City market because they have a very hard time finding properties that cash flow or meet the ROI requirements that they're looking for whenever it comes to investing in real estate. So they reach out to me and we ultimately end up finding them property that fits their investing needs. So today what I want to do is go through a few different tips that I've learned by working with these different out-of-state investors. Some of these tips might be very obvious to you, but if you're a new investor, this is, at least in my opinion, probably one of the best ways to get started when it comes to looking at properties from out of state. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. The first tip that I want to share with you guys is probably one of the most important things that you're going to need to do in your real estate investing career in general, whether you're investing in your local market or if you decide to invest in any of the good markets throughout the United States. The first thing that I feel like you need to do is build a team. You need to have a real estate investment team. And on that team, you're going to have a wide variety of people. One of the first people that you're going to want to hire is a realtor. The realtor can help you find properties. The realtor can help you analyze deals. The realtor can help you through every step of the process. And if the realtor is experienced in investing, he or she should have a few recommendations of people that can help you fill out the rest of your team. Whenever you're interviewing realtors, find out if he or she has any real estate investing experience. Being able to understand the numbers and understand the ROI or the rate of return that you're wanting to get on your money is going to be very important to you in the long run. You don't want to just hire somebody that's going to try to sell you any property he or she comes across. You want to find a realtor that understands how investing works. Also, ask that realtor if they have any real estate investing experience. That's going to be key also. You know, you're putting a lot of faith in somebody whenever you're having them help you with your financial future. And so you want to know that they've also got some experience doing this for themselves, not just working with other clients. So ask those questions. If you find somebody that you're comfortable with, then you've got a good start to your team. When you're investing out of state, you're going to want to have basically boots on the ground. The realtor is going to be one of the first sets of boots that you have on the ground. From there, you're going to want to hire an inspector. If you purchase a home, you're going to want to have that thing inspected top to bottom. And the inspector's job is to nitpick at every little thing and find every little thing wrong that they possibly can with the house. So that way, if you do decide to move forward with the closing or even negotiate some of the items on the inspection list, you have a quality inspection to fall back on. You're going to want to hire a good contractor in case you do decide to purchase this house. You want to make it rent ready. You want to make it a good place for your tenants. Nobody wants to be known as a slumlord. You don't want to give your tenants a poor property to live in. You want to give them something good. You also are going to need a good title company, preferably somebody that has worked with investors in the past. Sometimes whenever you're buying investment properties, you have to be able to close very quick. So those are kind of the basics of the people that you're going to need whenever you're starting your real estate investment team. Now let's go on to tip number 3. Tip number 3, you need to think about how you're going to purchase the property. Now we're going to talk about a couple of different things here. One, you need to think about your financing. Are you going to pay cash for this property? Are you going to get a loan for this property, a conventional loan? Are you going to use hard money? Are you going to get a private loan? Are you working with another investor? These are all things that you need to have figured out before you even start looking at different properties. if you're going to end up buying a multifamily property that has more than 4 properties, more than likely you're going to have to get a commercial loan. So these are things that you need to think about prior to buying the property. The next thing, if you're going to be buying investment properties, you might want to talk to your attorney, you might want to talk to your accountant, because there's going to be tax implications and possibly legal things that you're going to need to go through with them before you buy a property. They might want you to set up an LLC or some type of an S corporation, so that way you're protected a little bit more. Now, I'm obviously not an attorney. I'm a realtor, and I'm not an accountant. So you need to speak with these people because they can help you out with this. And I do have investors that I've worked with that have LLCs, and they buy the properties using their LLCs. I also have investors that buy the property in just their name, like they were buying a regular house. But that's something that you need to figure out with these people, so that it fits your individual needs, and so that in the long run it's what's best for you. Tip number 4 is get an inspection. Now, I know I talked about adding an inspector to your team, but this one is crucial. This one is kind of like a fail-safe for you when it comes to buying a property. You can walk through a property and think that everything looks great, but unless you have a trained eye and unless you have the tools to do this, you don't know what you're missing, essentially. It could have foundation problems, it could have electrical problems, it could have plumbing problems, the roof might need to be repaired. These are all things that could cost you thousands of dollars down the road. And if you end up buying a property and pay more for it than you should, not taking into account the repairs that need to be made, you're going to end up being upside down on this property, and that's not something any investor wants. So you need to have an inspection. Yeah, you might end up paying $300, $500 for this inspection, but that's pretty cheap insurance whenever you think that it could keep you from ultimately having to spend $30,000, $40,000 extra on a house that needs all of these repairs after you end up closing on it. So spend the money on your inspection. Don't be cheap on it. Talk to your realtor, find a good inspector. The inspector is not only going to help you out when it comes to that. If you are getting an inspection, you're going to have a list of everything that needs to be done. So you can also use that inspection as a negotiation tool to possibly get money taken off of the price of the house. You can also use the inspection whenever you're working with your contractor to show your contractor what needs to be done. Now, you might not need to get every little single thing done. Maybe a light switch has a crack in it or something like that. The plate has a crack in it. That might not be a big deal. That's a 60-cent item. But if there's electrical issues, if there's plumbing problems, the roof needs repaired, there's a water leak somewhere, that's something you're going to want to know, and that's something that you can show your contractor and say, hey, I need to get this done before my tenants move in. So spend the money, get an inspection, get good recommendations for a good inspector, and you'll be a lot safer and happier down the road. Tip number 5, don't get analysis paralysis. And if you're looking at this video thinking, what the heck is analysis paralysis? That's where you spend all of your time researching and you find so much information out there that it keeps you from actually taking the steps needed to pull the trigger and buy those investment properties. Too many people spend all sorts of time on real estate forums or reading articles or blog posts or whatever, and they get information overload, more or less. Do your research like you're supposed to. Research the market, research the neighborhood, research the people that you're looking for, but just understand that you can get too much information. It doesn't matter how great the real estate market is that you're in. More than likely, you're going to find somebody that had a bad experience in that market. And, if, for instance, Kansas City is the market that you're considering, there are a lot of people that have had a bunch of success in Kansas City because they did things the right way. But they took action. They learned by taking action. They ran their numbers and they did the things, took the steps they needed to make sure that they got the right property. But they don't just spend hours on internet forums reading about, this neighborhood, that neighborhood. They don't spend all of this time on the crime data websites, which, by the way, aren't always that accurate. They trust their team that they hired, they work with them, they get those recommendations, and they eventually end up finding the property that they need. They're patient, they take their time, and they think things through. They don't overanalyze everything. Don't be one of those people, because it's going to stress you out, and your probably going to end up making mistakes. I mean, honestly, everybody that invests in real estate makes mistakes down the road. I've made mistakes. Some of my investors have made mistakes. It just happens. But you learn from those mistakes. So don't obsess over research. Do the research, get the basics down that you need to know, and then move on. Tip number 6, and the final tip, is relax. Take a deep breath. You know, if you've done everything the way that you're supposed to, and you're getting the return on investment that you hoped, or even close to it, you're getting that money coming in every month, or you just sold a house and you flipped that house and got a good profit off of it, relax, enjoy it. You're in this to make money. And if you're making the money that you wanted, enjoy it. Enjoy it with your family. Go on that vacation that you've been wanting. Take that money and put it into another property. But enjoy the process. Real estate investing can be a lot of fun. It's challenging. It can be stressful. But if you take your time, you think things through, you don't stress about everything, you hire the right people, you'll be fine. And in the long run, you'll see that real estate investing is going to pay off big time for you and your family. My name is Brian Dinkel for Brian Dinkel Homes. If you have any questions about investing in the Kansas City Metro or